You don't need to be louder to be stronger. Your power is quieter than that. Think of it as psychological armor, thin as a breath, strong as steel. It's the calm that settles in your chest when everyone else is pressured or panicked or trying to pull you into their agenda. You see through deception with an unnerving clarity, not because you're cynical, but because you are grounded. These signs aren't flashy. They're not combative. They're subtle markers of a steady mind, of someone who chooses clarity over chaos. If these resonate with you, you're already building the kind of strength that makes manipulation fall apart on contact. Let's walk through the 7 signs. 1. They think for themselves. Internal reference point. You don't outsource your judgment to the crowd. Trends don't decide your values, and social pressure doesn't rewrite your logic. You listen, you consider, but your compass lives inside you, an internal reference point. When someone says, everyone's doing it, you don't flinch. When a group rushes toward the popular take, you ask, what's actually true? You'd rather be accurate than accepted. Psychology says social proof is a powerful influence tool. People often assume if many believe it, it must be right. But when you operate from an internal reference point, you're less swayed by what most people think and more anchored to evidence, coherence, and your own principles. Research shows that people who self-validate and use internal evaluation criteria are far less susceptible to conformity pressures. You don't mistake frequency for fact. You ask, if nobody applauded this choice, would I still make it? Clarity, not coldness. You're not dismissing others. You're simply refusing to let the loudest voice become your logic. Try this simple self-check when you feel the pull of social proof. If I couldn't tell anyone I did this, would I still do it? Am I agreeing because it's true or because it's easy? That's your armor fitting exactly as it should. 2. They question everything relentlessly. Intellectual self-defense. You don't attack. You clarify. You don't accuse. You inquire. You practice intellectual self-defense, the habit of asking, why, until the fog clears and the hidden motives surface. Why this solution? Why now? What assumption is this argument standing on? What would prove this wrong? Research shows that consistent Socratic questioning disrupts manipulation by forcing vague claims to become specific and by exposing inconsistencies. Psychology says asking precise, open-ended questions shifts power away from emotional pressure and back to facts, timelines, and accountability. Manipulators rely on speed, ambiguity, and your discomfort. You slow the frame down. You notice contradictions. You said it's urgent, but you're fine with me deciding tomorrow. You said this benefits everyone. Who exactly benefits? You're not being difficult, you're being exact. Clarity is a boundary, and asking why is not rebellion, it's protection. Practical lines to keep in your pocket. Help me understand how this works, step by step. What happens if we don't do this? Before I commit, I want it in writing. You're defending your mind, not drawing swords. Intellectual self-defense is intelligence applied calmly, and it's one of the strongest shields you carry. 3. They never react emotionally on the spot. The 2-second pause. While everyone else is exploding, you are observing. You deploy a simple but devastating tactic. The 2-second pause. A text tries to trigger you. A comment is bait. A deadline is weaponized. Instead of firing back, you breathe. 2 seconds. A small delay that collapses the entire strategy built on impulsive reaction. Psychology says this is emotional regulation, the ability to delay your response until your thinking brain fully comes online. Research shows that a brief pause interrupts reactive patterns and reduces susceptibility to coercion, guilt-tripping, and urgency tactics. Why it works? Manipulators depend on speed. They want your emotions to answer for you. Your pause breaks the spell. I'll respond after I think. Pressure loses oxygen. How it sounds. I'll circle back. I need a moment. I'll decide after I review the details. You don't stonewall. You stabilize. You're not avoiding. You're choosing accuracy over adrenaline. That's not coldness. That's mastery. A simple practice. Inhale quietly for 2 seconds. Exhale for 4. Label the pull. I'm feeling pushed to react fast. Return to the facts. What's the actual decision here? 2 seconds can save you months of cleanup. That's the math of self-control. 4. They have unshakable boundaries. Say no without guilt. Your no doesn't shake. You don't over-explain. You don't negotiate your own time, your energy, or your values to keep someone else comfortable. You know that love and respect don't require self-betrayal. No, that doesn't work for me. I won't be available for that. I hear you. My answer's still no. Psychology says boundaries are the borders of responsibility. What's mine to carry, what's not. Research shows that guilt-based tactics like, if you really cared, are designed to make you trade your clarity for compliance. You decline the trade. You reject phrases that weaponize empathy. If you really cared, everyone else said yes. After everything I've done for you, your response is steady. Caring isn't compliance. I don't make decisions based on pressure. I appreciate your perspective. My answer remains no. This isn't hostility. It's alignment. You don't need to be understood to be clear. And you don't need to justify your boundary to the person who benefits from violating it. Remember, a boundary isn't a debate. A boundary doesn't require a biography-length explanation. A boundary is a complete sentence spoken calmly and repeated as needed. You're not pushing people away. You're protecting what allows you to show up well. 5. They don't need external validation. Low social dependency. Compliments don't control you. Flattery doesn't open your gates. Love bombing? You see it, you name it, and it fails. Because you validate yourself. Psychology says low social dependency means your self-worth is anchored internally, not least to likes, praise, or temporary attention. Research shows that people who self-affirm are less influenced by approval-seeking traps and more resilient to manipulation through reward and withdrawal. You can enjoy praise without needing it. You can receive appreciation without making it your oxygen. So when someone showers you with intensity, "you're the only person who really understands me" routine, you don't inhale it like a drug. You test it. You notice praise that's way too fast, too soon, too grand. Affection that spikes when you comply and drops when you don't. Compliments used as currency to buy access, secrets, or urgency. Your mindset. Thanks for the kind words. Time will tell. I like encouragement. I don't negotiate my standards for it. If the attention disappears when I set a boundary, it wasn't respect. Low social dependency isn't detachment. It's stability. You're open to genuine connection, but you won't rent your identity for approval. That's what makes you unmovable. 6. They observe patterns, not promises. Intermittent reinforcement. You don't measure character by apologies. You measure it by patterns. You've learned that intermittent reinforcement, the cycle of unpredictable reward, hooks people into chasing crumbs. You refuse the game. Psychology says irregular rewards are the most addictive. Attention that appears, disappears, then returns just enough to keep you invested. Research shows that manipulators use hot and cold cycles to condition attachment and compliance. You step back and ask, what happens most of the time? Is there a stable pattern or just dramatic moments? Do their actions align with their words across weeks and months? You care about habits over headlines. I'm sorry, without change behavior is a promise without proof. Future fantasies don't outweigh current inconsistencies. One big gesture doesn't erase a long-running pattern. You're not hard to impress. You're hard to deceive. You track frequency, not intensity. Trajectory, not theatrics. When someone's patterns keep costing you peace, you don't argue. You recalibrate access. Simple filter. If I take their words away and only look at behavior, what story does it tell? That's the story you trust. 7. They use silence as a diagnostic tool. You understand that silence is not empty, it's information. You use it deliberately, because when you go quiet, the truth gets loud. Psychology says silence creates a projection space. What people do with quiet reveals their comfort with boundaries, their tolerance for uncertainty, and their intentions. Research shows that manipulative tactics often escalate when there's no immediate reaction. They need your rush to function. So you ask a clear question. and then you stop talking? Who fills the space with pressure? Who becomes defensive or aggressive? Who respects the pause, stays calm, and gives you clarity? Silence helps you see. If someone tries to make you responsible for their discomfort, if they attempt to rush you, we need an answer now. If they start deflecting, blaming, or changing the subject, how you use it. In negotiations, ask for terms, then let the quiet work. In conflict, state your boundary, then allow space for response. In relationships, share your need, then watch for willingness, not just words. Lines that empower your quiet. I'm thinking. I'll get back to you tomorrow. I don't make decisions under pressure. Silence isn't avoidance, it's a mirror. And when manipulation can't stand the stillness, it exposes itself. If these 7 signs sound like you, you're not cold. You're clear. You're choosing steadiness over spectacle, truth over pressure, and emotional regulation over emotional reactivity. That is psychological armor. Not spikes, not walls, just a grounded presence that makes manipulation run out of oxygen. You think for yourself, internal reference point. You question relentlessly, intellectual self-defense. You pause before reacting, the 2-second pause. You hold boundaries, without guilt. You don't chase praise, low social dependency. You track patterns, not promises, because of intermittent reinforcement. You use silence, diagnostically, calmly, and wisely. True strength isn't controlling others. It's not letting others control you. If this spoke to you, subscribe for more. Psychology explained in a simple and meaningful way. Your mind is your first home. Protect it.